And welcome back. You are looking at Indiana's newest entrepreneurial hub, the Union 525 in downtown Indianapolis, the scene of our Indy Tech Town Hall. This is our final segment with a panel of tech leaders. And as we begin this segment, we want to take a couple of questions. We had some folks queued up with questions from the audience. So, ma'am, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Carrie Utter from Greenlight.Guru, and I was wondering that we had mentioned that the Indianapolis tech community is growing exponentially, but yet there are so many other cities out there with a large tech community. So what brings young people like me who are just starting in the tech industry to Indianapolis? What is the main feature? What's the magnet? Who wants to take that one?
I mean, it's critical mass, first of all, right? As you start to talk about that flywheel effect earlier of attracting more energy once you have it rolling. I think the amazing quality of place in Indianapolis, the walkability, connectedness of downtown, the surrounding communities, the neighborhoods in Indianapolis, and then the suburban environments. It's a beautiful ecosystem for graduated moves. As a student comes in, they spend some time in downtown, and from there they can grow, raise a family here, and kind of plant themselves for the long term.
Yeah. We have one more we'll take from the audience as well.
Hi, Kendria Williams with Lemonade Day Indianapolis. I was just wondering, there is a lot of momentum built around the tech community. There's a lot of support and there's a lot of resources. How can we take this momentum that's been built around the tech community and apply it to those non-traditional entrepreneurs who aren't tech related?
I think, success breeds success. And, I just happen to be in the food business, right? And I am exposed to that environment, and I can see so much innovation happening in the food space and the agricultural space right now. So from that viewpoint, I can see it happening. I think once people realize that you can be successful, running your own business, whatever that is, and there's so much room for innovation that, I think that's kind of happening.
I think it's teaching, go ahead.
No, please.
I think it's teaching the fundamentals, right? So if we're able to teach what the playbook looks like, how you apply innovation and diversity within that innovation, I think is something that's accessible. My business was a beauty business of all things, but we still, built that around a tech platform, and we're able to take that to market. And it's there, it's happening. It's just, we got to double down.
Tim, you wanted to add something?
I think the cool thing about technology and entrepreneurism is the great equalizer. I mean, if I thought about the career path to success, even when I started my career, you had to sort of grind out 4 years and then get your MBA, like it was to go be a doctor, a lawyer, lots of schooling. In technology, I barely even looked at the resumes of the people I hired in some cases. It was really looking at aptitude and kind of hiring for a skill set or a profile. So there's just so much ability to catch up so quickly because it's all so new. There are no experts. It's all sort of relative. So I think it's really leveled the playing field in a pretty profound way.
We didn't touch on it in the last segment. We do want to hit on venture capital funding ideas in companies. Tim, we'll start with you. A lot of talk about the VC landscape improving, but still challenges here in Indiana. How would you assess it?
Yeah, so I'd say a couple things. First off, Hyde Park Ventures, we're on our second fund. Our first fund lasted about 4 years. We had one investment in Indiana. We're now on to fund 2. We're about 2.5 years into that fund. We just made our 8th investment in Indiana. So, and we're seeing other firms follow suit. So, it takes a while. There is this compound math. It takes a while to sort of catch up. The other thing, I don't know if people have fully sort of caught hold of, but I think one of the biggest things that's happened for this ecosystem in many years in the recent legislative session that went by, there is going to be several $100 million fund of funds that's created to invest capital back into Indiana. And we've seen that already happen in Michigan and already happen in Ohio. And I've been saying for years, I think that is the #1 thing that we could do to have a significant impact on the state. And that's going to unleash tens of millions of dollars to invest directly back into the state as well. So I'm very excited about that.
Chris, what's your take?
I think, first of all, entrepreneurs need to start there, right? The people that they know, people that love them, their friends, their family. Start small, not instantly think you need to raise $10 million or $1 million right away. Just get to the first step and the second step. There's also a lot of new instruments. There's something called a SAFE that just came out of Y Combinator. Cluster Truck, we've raised a lot of money using that. There's the Jobs Act, so now unaccredited investors for the first time ever are allowed to invest in startups. So, you know, there are a lot more pockets of money than there were 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Good. Want to also look ahead. You know, what's next? There's been a lot of talk of momentum. Danielle, as you look going forward for Indianapolis to continue the momentum and kind of reach those levels that everyone wants to get to, what needs to happen? Is there something that's missing now that needs to be there?
You know, I think that we really need to find what our competitive advantage looks like. You know, what does that mean to our city? What does that mean to our state? And I think that being able to diversify where we're investing and how we're investing, you know, to Chris's point. And then the other part of that is increasing that appetite for risk and R&D and giving people safe spaces where they're allowed to experiment and research and, you know, really think outside the boundaries will deliver a much more diverse opportunity for not only our workforce, but also investors.
You know, we did not talk about women in technology, talked about it earlier on the show, but you've thrown out the idea of a women-focused fund.
I've done some research of my own over the last 10 years. 5% of venture capital has gone into female-founded businesses, with one of those businesses being mine. I think that number has an opportunity to increase. I don't think that this is a blame game. I think that is an opportunity for us to create a competitive advantage. We know that in investing, when a woman is at the executive table, it allows for diversity in their thinking, in their mindset, it allows for increased innovation. A lot of times those businesses, they will exit at 2.5 times just their only male counterpart peers, and you can invest 2 times less the amount. So they know how to bootstrap.
Very good.
We're good multitaskers.
Good. John?
Yeah, I mean, as a father of a daughter, obviously I want to see this continue to get better. I think that we see a lot of good signs that good things are happening. I'm very cautious to not put the mission accomplished banner up yet. We still have a long way to go. And so when you look at things like the Kauffman Entrepreneurial Index and you see Indiana ranked 44th in the country, that's one where I go, what? You know, that's got to be the methodology's wrong, right? That's your first response, right? But the reality is, look, these are measurements across the country. We need to look at that and see what we can do to get better across the country. Yet we rank in the top third in intellectual property and commercialization of IP out of our universities. There's a disconnect somewhere. I think part of it is access to capital, but I think some of it is the entrepreneurial edge, and I don't know how we infuse that.
Only about 45 seconds left, but Tim, Chris, final thoughts on looking forward, what you'd like to see happen?
Well, I think we're seeing it. You know, what I like seeing is that we're getting away from kind of MarkTech. I see so many new companies that are applying software and technology solutions to older problems. You know, I mentioned 120 Water Audit before, but they booked $1.5 million in the last 5 weeks. And women-owned company or a women CEO company, so she's struggling to get funding, which is a problem. But it's there are great opportunities like that.
Yep. Final word, Tim.
Yeah, I'll go back to where John did. It's fascinating. I think people in other parts of the country believe in Indiana and Indianapolis maybe more than we believe in ourselves. Whereas it was very hard for us to get a meeting with the large sort of billion-dollar funds many years ago. Now there's a line of 6, 8, 10 deep that want to talk about what's going on there. How do we get involved? They know it, they see it, they know what's happening. So I agree. I call it humble confidence, and I think we just need to continue to dial that up.
Great way to end our conversation with a great panel. Tim Kopp from Hyde Park Ventures, Chris Baggett, Cluster Truck. I use your service all the time.
Thank you.
Danielle McDowell from the Speakeasy, John Wexler from Launch Fishers and Launch Indy. Thanks. How about a big round of applause for a great panel? Thank you very much. Well, thanks for watching Inside Indiana Business on YouTube. For the latest statewide business news, be sure to visit InsideIndianaBusiness.com and subscribe to our free daily e-newsletters by clicking on the link.